Welcome to BigGunner81 Live, everyone. Presented by Applied Arsenal Finishes, ATArms.com, Eggleston Munitions, the range at 35, and the Tier 1 Training Corp. So welcome everyone tonight. And in the house with us, I'll pull this back up, we've got Josh Charrington here, and we've got Brian from, I'm going to mess it up, it's Average Gun Guy. Did I get it right?
That's it.
All right. And, of course, we got Thomas from Alpha Concepts Training. So we're going to start out tonight with talking with Brian real quick here. Tell us a little bit about your company and stuff and what you do and everything.
Sure. Average Gun Guy, we started, well, actually 4 years ago today. It was a company that basically started out of my own passion. I started looking at building ARs, things like that, and noticed that there wasn't a lot of what I call mid-range ARs. There was the entry-level, you know, Smith & Wesson Sports with no sights, things like that, and then there was the high-end. So we just started putting together guns where putting a few more features for the average gun guy budget, and kind of grew from there. You know, our focus has always been giving you a little more features and benefits in a rifle at a price that the average gun guy can afford. We've grown from there and went from one bench to now we have in-house CNC, in-house Cerakote, and just keep growing.
Awesome. Very cool. So I was going to pull up your website, too, for them to see this as well in just a moment here. And we can show off what this armorer's block looks like, the better building block exactly.
Yep.
And let me do this. Here we go. Hopefully you guys can see this in just a moment. There we go. Go ahead and I'll scroll through this.
Hey Brian, what's your target price on your ARs you're building?
Generally, we try to come in between about 1,000 and 1,200.
Okay.
Like I said, one of the challenges in kind of threading this needle is to find put the things in where people need them and not bother where they don't necessarily.
Yep.
You know, for example, all the bulk carrier groups we use are boron coated. You know, they're made of black rifle arms. They're great. Absolutely love their bulk carrier groups. They're a little more money, but they just run and run and run. You know, clean up as a breeze. I mean, you guys know boron bulk carrier groups are just a godsend when you're shooting.
Yeah.
You know, the two-piece hand guards. We don't go with the standard glacier that rips up your hand. We went with an AB Arms, a little different design. A lot of it was born of when we started searching out companies. You know, a lot of the big boys wouldn't touch us. We were a startup. So we found a lot of smaller shops or guys that were smaller at the time and incorporated their products into it. You know, from our flash hiders. Our flash hiders are made by a little guy on literally the edge of Michigan. He says one more step, he'd be in the lake. It's a little shop, makes some fantastic stuff at great prices. So, you know, we can give you, we can give you a little more in a rifle, you know, a little better stock. A lot of them use the MFT stock, but we're still coming into a price point around 1,000, 1,200 with American-made case, P-mags, whole 9 yards.
Awesome. So I'm just checking out this block here for people. And I'm getting my call somebody too, by the way, in the background. I don't know if it's Thomas, possibly. He's got his mic. Oh, I might be coming off of yours. I'm not sure. Someone's. Oh, it stopped. It must have been Thomas. Sorry, it happens sometimes with Google Hangouts, and it's very distracting. So I'm pulling up the page here, Brian, and kind of doing this. If you guys can see this now, yeah, you can. Or you should be able to. So it looks like it's a three-piece setup.
Yep.
And from this picture, I was kind of looking at how this works. So that center, I don't know what you call it, like that center rod or that cylinder piece.
Yep. We have a very technical name. It's called round bar.
Round bar. Okay. So yeah, basically, it looks like you just bolted onto that block that fits between the lugs on the upper receiver. Is that pretty much it?
Right. They're basically three pieces, and just kind of explain where this came from. Well, that picture right there is a perfect example. What this came from was I was doing engraving on receivers, and of course, I, like everybody else, had the clam style. Problem is, you drop that clam style in CNC, you can't work on it. You can't get it in a vise, you can't get it horizontal, you can't do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I designed this originally just for my shop. I was using them in my shop to square them off on the center of my 6-inch vise, and some people started asking me about it, so we started into production on them. The idea is, as you can see here, you've got the top block, which actually screws into the magwell block.
Okay.
So that does two things for you. One, if you ever put a lower on a standard plastic one, you get that little bit of movement. This way, you are completely secure.
Okay, I see.
So whether you can see the ridges on the bottom, that'll slide right into a vise. If you want to do in the vertical position, you can put it sideways on a CNC. You can engrave, you can paint. You're keeping your entire face wide open, but it's very, very secure.
So basically, it's tension.
What's that?
I was gonna say it's basically tension and tight because those two screws that go into the top are basically sandwiching the receiver in it and kind of clamping to it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. They're 1/4-inch screws, so you got lots of strength, lots of tension. We have all the knockouts so that if it's a stripped or fully completed receiver, it's going to fit. And the part that hangs off the back also functions as a hammer block. So as you're installing, if you trip your hammer, you're not going to hit your frame. So basically, you start to finish. When you reverse that smaller block, like you saw on the upper, it screws right into the bar. And this was another big pet peeve of mine is when you're working on those clamshells, is you can build the upper, but then when you get to sights and scopes and that, you got to take everything off and you're back and forth and back and forth. Basically, the bar replaces your bolt carrier group. You invert it, you screw it in. Now you've got a nice tight seal. You're not touching any of the outside of the receivers. You're not going to mark any of your finish. And you can literally drop that in the vise, build your upper. If you got to take it out of the vise, put your sights back on, put it back on. You're not taking your blocks off and on. It can stay there until you're completely done.
So it's designed where you can have the barrel installed the way that round stock is.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's
cool.
It'll take you all the way from the stripped. You can install your barrel nut, flip it over, forward assist, throw your sights on. You don't take that off until you're completely done. And again, they're all machined so that if you wanted to put this, for engraving, if you're doing an NFA and you want to put some engraving on top of the receiver or whatever, it's all machine finished. You can drop it on a CNC and it'll be perfectly square and away you go.
Right, I got you. That's awesome to be able to have it's basically a fixture for machining purposes as well.
Exactly. It'll what I like to say is it takes you from one extreme to the other. If you basic build all the way through machining, it's also made of 6061 aluminum, so it's not harder than your receivers, so you're not going to have to worry about gouging at your receivers, but it's a heck of a lot stronger than plastic. I mean, this one will last you a lifetime.
Okay, I was going to ask you this made out of. That makes sense.
Yep. 6061, and then we use Cerakote finish. The standard ones here are titanium Cerakote.
Okay. That's really cool. I think it's awesome. I like the fact that the no marring of the surface of the outside of it. It basically mounts on the inside and everything and all that because, well, you said the aluminum is stronger than the plastics and stuff that they use. And I've had that experience too, where you mount the upper receiver in like the clamp style. I don't know. I guess we call it like a vice block. And if you don't have that vice cranked down enough, it's flexing and wanting to pop out, and you end up with the possibility of scratching up your receiver or something. And if you crank down on it too much, you might end up crushing your receiver as well.
Exactly.
So I like that.
And the other thing, and anybody here has ever built an AR with one of those clam style, you get that wonderful little double mark right under the rail from the plastic.
Mm-hmm.
So for years I had my strips of painter's tape next to my bench to put on the receiver before I put the clamshell on.
Yeah, that's what I use a lot of is painter's tape to try to protect the receivers when I was working on them. But This is
Right.
definitely going to be a great way for building these 50 rifles I'm trying to build. So I'm looking forward to using one of these very soon. But so what else you got? So is there anything else you have in the works that you want to talk about, or anything down the road, and anything else that you do that you want to share?
We're always working on new ideas. Like I said, we finally got this one going. The Better Building Block has been kind of my life for about the last 3 months, getting that going. We are working on a new handguard system. We do have fourth axis capabilities here, so I've been just chomping at the bit to get going on the handguards. The biggest thing, as with the as you see with the Better Building Block, I don't like to just copy what somebody else has done. I want to do something different, solve some problems that I have. The handguard that we got coming out, one of my biggest pet peeves with doing the free float handguards is you line up the gas tube in that hole, you tighten it down, it pinches down, and then you can't, there's no, either the armorer's tool works on the inside nut or the outside nut, and you're always trying to fiddle with it to get it right. So we're coming up with a design that will never pinch your gas tube, and with standard household tools, you can get that perfectly aligned without having to break out the hammer and the punches and knock it back into alignment.
Okay.
And then the other big push that we're bringing back a line that we had out there called our Hunt line. It's a wood-stocked AR. It's chambered in 30 cal. We do 300 blackout and 7.62 by 39. We use a walnut veneer, and that one retailed a little higher because of the wood. But with a 30 cal AR, you're in the ballpark in about the 12 to 1300 range. Complete out the door, case, mags, everything you need. Complete with boron bulk carrier groups on those two.
Okay, let me see if I can share this again too, so people can.
That's the one. That is actually my hunting rifle. That's my deer rifle.
Oh, nice. That's very cool.
I took that out 2 years ago. I had 3 does came in, 1 walked out, and only because I ran out of tags.
Wow, that's pretty neat though. I've seen that. It's just different to have the wood on there. Some people I know like it, some people don't. But it's cool to have the options that are out there. There's such variety.
When you're looking for a hunting rifle or something a little different, it just gives you that different. There's kind of 2 main line of wood stocks I've seen out there. This one's a little different than you've probably seen the Boyd stocks. They're very, very popular. They've got the lightning cut in the handguard. What I liked about this one, there's a guy in South Dakota that I work with. He's got about 1 million acres of walnut trees.
Wow.
So he makes these up. And basically the stock, rather than trying to be a wood AR stock, he went more traditional. It's got the Monte Carlo cutouts for the cheek weld. It really feels like you're picking up an old Remington 700. But you still have an AR, and then, like I said, just the feel of it in the woods. I love it for a hunting rifle. It's just got a really nice feel to it, a really nice weight to it. It doesn't get super heavy. I think that one comes in, if I remember correctly, at 7.5 pounds with mag.
Okay.
That's not bad. 7.5 pounds.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
I was expecting much more with wood.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Exactly.
That's the first comment when I take this rifle somewhere or somebody comes by the shop and picks it up. First word out of their mouth every single time is, "Wow, that's not as heavy as I thought it was going to be."
Yeah, I've had that experience before. I picked up an AR and it was actually heavier than I thought it would be, and it's because of the optic that was on it.
Yeah.
Some of these optics out there weigh a lot. Surprisingly.
Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but it's aluminum tube or whatever, some glass. But yeah, it actually.
That would be one of them.
Yeah.
Right there, that's a beast.
Hey.
Two.
There you go. Which one is that you got there?
That's the Razor HD Gen 2. It's a tank.
Yeah, that's what I was actually thinking of and talking about. They have some weight to them.
Like the mount is probably a pound.
But yeah, it's crazy.
That skeleton war mount is really light, but that optic is it's incredibly heavy. I mean, it's the best glass out there for the money, unless you want to go all the way to Swarovski. But great glass and really good visualization out of the scope. But it is a heavy scope.
Yeah. No, I've handled that one. That's one I was thinking of, and I'm like, wow, but the clarity is very nice. Unfortunately, it's not in my price range right now for one of those. But yeah, I wouldn't mind having it. And I have actually seen the Swarovski also. My sponsoring dealer, BAT Arms, he has one on a Noveski rifle that he was letting me borrow at one point to take out to like I forget which match. I think it was the Florida Southeast match for 3 Nation. But I'm like, no, I'm okay with just taking my rifle and stuff, you know. Which, anyway, so, but yeah, that's Swarovski. That is just crystal clear stuff. Really nice. So speaking of 3 Nation and everything, let's pull up your videos and we'll talk a little about that now. So let me see if I got the right one here. We got the Eastern Regional. Okay, so
you do the shotgun one or the 3-gun one. It's up to you, or both, whatever you want to do.
Let's see which one I pulled up, and then we'll go with it.
All right.
So let me see. I'll do the screen share so everybody can see it, and then I'll let you do your voiceover and talking about it.
Sure. This is the full 3-gun match. So this is at Clinton House, South Carolina. Really great facility. Stage 1 here.
Wow. Yeah, that's at the house. The actual house that's on the property there. I've shot from there before.
Yeah. This is a stage. He didn't let us go inside the house with the camera, but there were 4 decent rifle shots out of the window. They were a little tough if you were later in the squad because they were in the shade and they only painted the targets if you're the beginning of the squad. It's a little hard to see, but they weren't too bad.
Okay.
And I had my first shot malfunction in probably 6,000 rounds on this stage. I had a shell that didn't eject.
I'm surprised they didn't let you go through the house with the camera because other people doing that. I've seen some videos posted.
Yeah, he didn't want cameras in there for whatever reason.
Okay.
Yep. Stage 2, 3, and 4 were all base stages, so he got some slug work, some clays. Mix it up here a little bit. It was a pretty fast stage, just ripping through it.
Awesome. See, when I was there, they had talked about actually making these bays. They weren't quite there yet, I don't think.
It's a great facility. It was very dry, very dusty, and
I take that back. There were 3 bays. They're talking about making some changes to it, and that looks different from what I remember. So it might be there. Nice.
This man believes he's losing his mind.
Thank you. Yeah, so the match overall went pretty well. It was a lot of fun. I basically had 5 good stages. I had 2 that were okay, and I had 1 that I just absolutely bombed that really, I think, ended up costing me about 15, 18 places in the match. So
where did you end up finishing at?
I took 33rd in the match.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I bombed 1 stage. I was, 50th place, I think, was my worst stage, with the exception of 1 that I bombed. I was like 140th on that one. I ran out of ammo on a plate rack at the end, didn't take my bigger magazine with me. It was just a bunch of bad mistakes all in a row. And the video almost looks like it's sped up for some reason. Might just be the refresh rate as it's coming through or something.
That's what I'm betting, but it's probably a little bit of lag. It looks pretty smooth on my end, but through Google sometimes it slows down.
We'll just say you were really that fast.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that works. Superhuman speed. Yeah, this is my best stage. I took 8th place in the match on this one, and I was the only guy in my squad to go prone on this next section. They had a really small plate rack at 150 and 225, and everyone was shooting from a knee or shooting off the top. And I went prone, and I went 1 for 1, and I went really fast. It was it was definitely the better plan. I shot with Greg Jordan. He shot it from a knee, and he beat me. He won the stage, but he's Greg Jordan. So what are you gonna do?
Nice.
Yeah, we could have asked for better weather though. I mean, it was fantastic down there. It was super nice. I made a big change from this match from the last regional I shot. I had a Bomar sight dovetailed into my shotgun, and I went 1-for-1 on almost all. I think I missed one slug the entire match. That made a huge difference for slugs.
Nice. It's always fun to see these. If you don't get to go out and actually shoot the event, to actually kind of see what people were up against.
Yeah, this was a really quality stage. It was it was really well rounded. It felt a lot like the one in Alabama, to be honest with you, but it was. I think Three Gun Nations is doing an awesome job of giving you a little bit of everything.
Now, I don't remember. Did they run the pistol caliber carbine class?
They did. They ran it in this match as well.
Awesome.
Yep. And
I actually would like to try that out one day.
Yeah, Jason Edwards won it again as usual. I think he's won all 3 of them now.
What was he running for his rifle?
I think he runs a Tresna.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I thought that they had won this one as well. I know they're the title sponsor.
Yeah.
For Three Gun Nation's pistol caliber carbine class. It's a lot to say. PPC, I guess, is why we should say it that way, but
I think it's PCC. Everyone calls it PPC, but it's pistol caliber carbine. So
you're right. I don't know why I said it that way. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, but it was written on all the stage briefs as PPC until people.
Yeah, I was trying to say, like, somehow that was stuck in my brain.
Yeah,
that was probably it. I was probably reading it. Like, I remember looking at the stage briefs and like, what is that? You know, something totally new to me.
Yeah, I think someone just made a mistake on the sheet, but it was definitely it definitely was a mistake on a bunch of them.
That's probably where I got it from, so I don't feel as bad.
Yeah.
That's all right. Whatever. I make mistakes.
I'm in the process of building one of those right now. I want to use it for some training, and we can shoot it in USPSA now, which is awesome.
Nice. I like the stage with all the hay bales. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was really surprised the hay bale didn't catch on fire as many people shot off of it.
Yeah, valid point. Sure.
Yeah, at FNH last year we shot off of a log, and the whole section of the log was all burned out and was smoking by the end of our squad.
I caught someone's stages from like a recent match. I don't know which one it was. They ended up like at the end of the stage when they're, I think they were clearing out their rifle or shotgun or something. I forget what it was. Just at the end, a tree fell over, like a small tree. Like they just chopped it in half from where it was positioned.
That happened. We had that happen to us last year at VIR. We had a tree come down in a windstorm, and we were out shooting targets, and all of a sudden I hear someone start screaming and yelling, and we started running, and the tree fell down right where we were standing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny. I hadn't thought about that since that happened. It's funny.
Yeah, dude, this is definitely one of the funnest sports.
Oh yeah, it's a blast.
Pretty much, period.
Dude, and what made it for me is we'll watch it next is the shotgun challenge. The shotgun match was so cool. You got to go down and shoot 8 three-gun stages, good quality stages, and you could shoot all 6 shotgun stages in like an hour and 10 minutes. Like it was nothing. They were all 15 to 25 second part times. You show up, no thinking. It's pretty much like shoot everything you can see. You got 20 seconds to get it done. We're going to count points when you're all finished. It was a blast. I mean, it was. So to be able to kind of shoot two matches in one weekend was super cool.
That is.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically the match. It went okay for me. Could have gone a little better, but you know, still learning and getting better.
Awesome. I'm gonna pull up the next one for the shotgun challenge. Okay, this where you took 6th place in this one, yeah?
Yeah, I did pretty well in this one. I had some really good loading and shooting, and then one stage I forgot how to load completely, which didn't go very well for me.
Now, how many people actually competed in this side match?
I think 186 did the side match.
Cool.
Yeah.
How did they organize that in with the other match going on?
You could shoot it anytime you wanted between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So pretty much between the half-day formats and the day that you came down to register on Friday, a lot of guys just showed up an hour early on Friday and shot the whole thing before they even fired a first shot in the match.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm pretty proud of this. I tied Rob Romero on points, but he beat me on the tiebreaker. So he's pretty good guy to tie in any type of shooting event.
How do you miss that one?
Yeah, shooting really fast.
I know, I saw it. I mean, that was pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
Nice work.
I was really happy with my loading and the shotgun stage for the most part. I was loading pretty well.
What kind of shotgun are you shooting there?
Benelli M2. It's got a TACOM extreme extension extension tube on it, and the loading port was done by Mark Roth at RCI, and the bolt carrier group is done by Mike Cyrus at Accurate Iron.
Wow. Yeah, TACOM makes some really nice stuff.
Yeah, I run their caddies and their extension tube, and yeah, I really like their gear. I think they do a good quality job. Here's where I forgot how to reload completely. This is hilarious. I think I put more shells on the ground than I put in the gun.
Oh!
There's two more.
You're like 1 for 1.
It's like, yeah, it's like popcorn, man.
That was
Get in my shotgun.
Load, and all I had to do was just load decently well, and I could have done really well on points, and I started loading really fast. I don't know why. They give you a 20-second par time on it.
Yeah, I wish I was this fast. This is nice. Good job, man.
Yep, same thing. Left one sitting there. But, yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Good deal. So we were talking about products and stuff a little while ago, and you have you were showing your stock. I don't think we showed it yet. The one you were showing us before we started the show.
Yeah.
Do you want to show that off again?
Sure. So I'm not sponsored by this guy or anything, but he kind of showed up on my radar last year that he was developing this new stock system from Cole Components. I think it's called the six-element stock. He just released it. It's really, I think, the only product he has. A really cool design, and in my opinion, takes away a lot of the deficiencies of how linear an AR-15 platform is to really get your butt stock in the right part of your shoulder to be as effective as possible. So basically, he's got a proprietary buffer tube here. He's got a CNC two-piece clamp that's underneath this cheek piece that secures this. You've got rotation here. You've got rotation here. You've got vertically up and down, and you've got slide along the axis here. You can really dial this thing in. For me as well, if you look down the axis here, you can give it about a 20-degree curve, which from a physiology perspective kind of fits nicely along the curve here of your shoulder, where your shoulder muscle and your pec muscles kind of meet. It really nests in nicely. And I was kind of showing these guys earlier, when you mount this gun, you get a good cheek weld that's very repeatable, and the entire butt plate is securely inside your shoulder and down in the muscle and the meat. It's not hanging up here like you see with a lot of guys. So pretty cool. I literally just got it yesterday. I mounted it up last night. I haven't shot it yet, but it took me about 15 minutes to really get it tuned to where it feels pretty good. I might tweak it a little bit from here, but I thought I'd give them a plug. I think it's a nice product. About 175, 180 bucks, so it's pretty comparable to a lot of the high-end stocks that you're getting out these days with Luth AR and some of the high-end Magpuls and a couple of others. So it's in that neighborhood and ballpark. But yeah, it seems to be pretty nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Which handguard do you have, by the way, on there?
This is the Rev Arms handguard. They're RAL handguard.
Okay, cool.
It's a full Rev 3 guns. They're 3-gun model, 16-inch with a mid-length gas system, titanium nitride bolt carrier group with a Hyperfire Eclipse 3G trigger, and also the Rev Arms proprietary 3G brake.
Okay. Is that the adjustable brake with the screw holes in it that you open and close?
Yep, it's just got the tiny little holes. There's no screws in them. They just drill them out. It's not adjustable.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, the one that you were asking me, you're talking about, Thomas?
Yeah.
I don't have it here right here with me, but TACCOM actually makes one that has the three holes in the top that have the screws inside of it.
I think you were showing me that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I had the rifle with me when I showed you, or just showed you on here, but their ultralight muzzle brake basically has that option to be able to kind of do a little bit of adjustability to it, which is cool for something that doesn't have that much weight to it. To give you that kind of option to be able to tune it, that's pretty awesome.
I think Armalite has the same thing as well. I think they've got that option in theirs, or maybe just drill them out. I can't remember. I think you just drill them out, you get progressively larger holes as you kind of tune it.
Okay.
I don't know much about them. I just think I saw one last year.
That really neat one is that Tactical one that like is totally adjustable with like all little like sleeves or whatever you call it, or collars that are adjustable.
Yeah.
That's neat. I wouldn't mind trying one of those out at some point.
Okay.
So, speaking of parts and stuff, one of the things I want to show off, and those who follow me on Facebook and on the, especially on Instagram, which is Instagram.com/BigGunner81, or just go on Instagram, BigGunner81. I've got in my hand here the Manticore Arms Transformer Rail. It's a very lightweight rail system. What's really cool about it is this is something that they designed in-house, one of their products. You can see these like slots here with the screw holes on them here. It basically has 6 of those slots on both left and right, and on the bottom there's 2 rows of them. They're interchangeable panels that you can use on it, so it's kind of a way to, if you have key mod, you can use key mod panels. There's like the 3-pack of them here. They usually come in 3 packs. You can use the M-Lock ones, like these. You don't have to put any in there if you don't want to, because obviously they add a little bit of tiny bit of weight, but it's really negligible. And they also have like texturized. This is just one example of like their texturized grip panels that are plastic. I think these are plastic. But the M-Lock and the key mod are metal. But a very nice lightweight rail system. I think this one's I want to say is a 15-inch rail. Let's see, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's a 15-inch rail though. They also have like the Picatinny on the rear here, and also on the front. So if you want to run like your flip-up backup sights or whatever, and have one on the front, you can do that. But they just kind of left, this part machined out so to cut down on the weight, where most people don't really mount anything on the rail setup there. But very neat stuff. This is going to be used in the 50 States AR-15 project for the Illinois rifle build, because they're out here in Illinois as well, like I am. So I'm really looking forward to building that rifle. I'm just waiting on, some of the other components, and also the receiver set. BAT Arms is having some coming in pretty soon of their own receivers, basically. They have billet and they have forged ones coming, I guess, on the way as well. But I think we got my name on one of the, actually number 81 is what my name's on right now for their allotment of their receivers. One of the things I was going to mention too, and kind of plug again, that's coming up. I'm going to do a screen share here so I can kind of share this video at the same time I'm talking about it. Something that I got a really cool opportunity to, sorry about the picture-in-picture there. Illinois Harley-Davidson out in Countryside, Illinois, and the Range 35 are setting up this event, basically, where you can, basically Illinois Harley is hosting this event called Declare Your Independence. It's on July 2nd, 12 to 2 p.m., and you can come out, get some food, get some pie. If you got a bike that's dirty, they got a bikini bike wash, and you can enter to win one of 16 one-hour range passes from the Range of 35 as well. It's kind of a cool thing. They invited me out to come and do this little video with them to talk about the event and promote it and everything, and looking forward to this. It's going to be really cool. I'll be there for the 2 hours on this coming Saturday. So for those of you that are local that want to do something that's kind of fun, if you don't have a bike but you're kind of interested in bikes, come on out. Like I said, they got food, pie. Oh, they got beer too, by the way. We might have some guns out there. I don't know yet for sure, but it'll definitely be a fun time nonetheless. It'll be kind of a cool thing to go hang out and just check out some bikes and maybe talk about some gun stuff and whatnot. Something to kind of celebrate our independence on 4th of July weekend. So, but I had a lot of fun going out there and filming this actually. At the Range of 35, went out there and the guys from Harley brought out 2 brand new bikes, and you'll probably see if I kind of clip to the closer to the end here, you'll see a quick little clip coming up. Pete and Roy were having fun riding around on these things. For those who don't know, Pete's the managing partner of Range 35, and Roy is his friend that's also the manager, general manager, I believe. So they're out there. They had a chance to ride around on some bikes and play with some guns and stuff, and it was a good time. But yeah, this weekend, coming up July 2nd, at the Illinois Harley-Davidson in Countryside, Illinois, 12 to 2 p.m. Come check it out. So, I don't know if you guys, Thomas, you got anything you want to throw out too? I know you haven't had the opportunity yet to.
I've just been listening and enjoying myself. Just like I don't know, was I last week or the week before? I was talking about the free concealed carry class for the disabled veterans. So yeah. I'm making progress on that, and I hope to have some dates. Maybe next week or the following week, I'll have some firm dates for that. So that'll be coming up.
Have you secured a range for that now?
You know what? I have maybe, but actually I want to try to contact the 355, see maybe if they're interested, because I really like their range.
Yes.
And other than shooting with you, I haven't really shot there before, so you know, maybe they'd be interested in doing a class. So I was going to reach out to them. I just haven't done that yet, but I've talked to another range, and they're slightly interested. But I'm trying to spread my wings a little bit, and I am going to reach out to the 355 and see what they have to say about the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that they're big supporters of veterans and law enforcement and stuff, so that's a good opportunity to talk with them and see what they want to do.
Can I just ask, how in the hell is there a range that wouldn't be excited about this? It's kind of weird that you're getting any type of...
no, it's not that I'm getting any sort of negative feedback or anything. It's just that most of the ranges around here, you've got to understand where we live. There's not a lot of ranges, number one, and number two, because there's not a lot of ranges, they're usually just so incredibly busy that to give up an hour or two worth of range time is cost prohibitive sometimes. So you have to understand their point of view. They're kicking maybe 30 people off the range to allow 10 or 15 people to shoot, and sometimes dollars and cents talk. So.
All right.
Right. Yeah. See, we're kind of. I forget what state you're in, Josh.
I was in Michigan. I'm in Ohio now. I just moved to Ohio about 6 months ago.
Okay. Cool. So, yeah, we're basically like in the suburbs of Chicagoland. So. We don't have like you said. There's a few ranges around, but because there's so many people versus the amount of ranges, they get pretty busy.
Yeah.
So that's why like when the Range 35 came to our area, I was like super excited because literally it's like about, I say 5 minutes, probably actually like 10 minutes away, especially if you drive like grandma like I do. But anyway, it's pretty close to my house, and it was kind of awesome that was coming, because the next closest range from me is probably about a half hour away, roughly, and it's always crowded. And this facility, being that it's brand new, everything is like state of the art with pretty much. Even their target systems, as Thomas knows, it takes a little bit of getting used to because they've got all electronic target systems and stuff. And the one range even has more advanced controls, as you could say, where you can actually have shoot and no shoot and have it do like sequences and stuff. But their air quality, that's the biggest thing. Every 60 seconds, the whole range, the air in that whole range gets flushed out of the building.
Wow.
So you're not breathing all that crap that you'd get from all the gun smoke and lead residue and everything else that you would at some places. They really do that. The only thing I can say is it was a bit hot in there this summer because the air filtration is so awesome. They can't really air condition inside the ranges, so that's one downside. But that's only like the extreme days when it's really, really hot out. But it's an awesome facility. I mean, and they got great people that work there, and I really enjoy going there. And I'm not just saying that because they support my show or anything. I really want to support them, and I said, hey, you guys want to sponsor this, and stuff, and because I like what they're doing, and they're close to my house, and even above and beyond the fact that they're close to my house, it's just that they have a really, really nice facility. I mean,
and plus help a startup in this industry. That's important.
Say it again?
Helping a startup in this industry is important.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other part of why I wanted to support them. Exactly, because getting a range approved in suburbia here, that's difficult. In fact, I believe the story as I heard it, there's a Bass Pro that's right kind of like across the highway from this range, and when they went in and built the Bass Pro many years ago, I forget how many years ago it was, they wanted to add a range with it, I believe. This is what I've heard. I don't know what the accuracy is of this, but this is the hearsay. But the village wouldn't allow it, so they have like an archery range inside, but there isn't a gun range. So now the people who end up buying guns over at Bass Pro get to go test them out across the street. But realistically, and I know nothing wrong about Bass Pro, I don't want to knock them, but a lot of times you're paying like full-blown inflated retail, as we know, at big box stores, and you're not going to get that at 355 either. So.
And the trigger guards at Bass Pro.
Yes, and the trigger guards. Those, it's like, I understand why they have them, liability and all that kind of stuff, and risk and everything. But it's nice to go to a gun shop where they don't have trigger guards on it. I don't know what their exact policy is on dry fire, but you can at least get a feel somewhat of the trigger versus having that stupid guard over it.
But I think I was in a Bass Pro in Illinois when I still lived in Michigan, and I don't think they would even let me handle a gun because I wasn't from Illinois.
Well, that was a mistake on part of the clerk, because as an out-of-state resident with your driver's license, you should have legally been able to handle the firearm. But sometimes the clerks are just not properly trained.
Or Thomas, the other part is store policy.
Right, exactly.
They have a choice that, like, even though it's the law allows for it, they just choose not to because they might think, well, the person's an Illinois resident, and even though they have the other state ID, we don't want to get in trouble, blah, blah, whatever. They worry about stuff. Example of that, like with Illinois, you can buy long guns from bordering states for Illinois, right? Like Wisconsin, Indiana, Missouri. So the Walmart, I was down in Missouri and near Fort Leonard Wood, and I was curious. So I've been to a Walmart where they've had guns here in Illinois, but it was only like shotguns and maybe some sorted rifles. That's it. But I've always heard about people saying, "Oh, I got this awesome deal on a Colt LE 6920 for under $700 or whatever at the Walmart." I'm like, man, I'd love to see a Walmart that has AR-15s on the shelf, which I've heard that's changed now, right? I think that's changed now too. I think from what I've heard, they pulled them or whatever. But I don't know for sure.
Yeah, they pulled them.
They did. So, but I was down there in Missouri, and they had on the shelf a few different AR-15s, and I'm like, I go to the guy, I go, hey, so I'm from Illinois. Do you guys sell to out-of-state, people like Illinois and stuff? And he's like, well, I can't sell to Illinois. I go, really? Because it's legal for me to buy it. Why is that? And he's like, well, store policy. You go, see this map? On his computer, he pulled it up and said, this is all the places I could sell to, but I can't sell to Illinois because they have, assault rifle bans in different towns and different areas and magazine restrictions and stuff, so we just don't sell, period, to the whole state.
Illinois was just a big black hole on his map.
Exactly. I think it was actually a red blotch or something. I think they had red states and blue states. It was really weird, but I'm like, wow, that really sucks. But yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting how that works. Of course, I bought my shotgun out of state. My MK 1919 I bought from the guys at Tooth and Nail Armory. They built it for me and stuff, so I picked it up from them. But anyhow, so talk about that. Talk about the range. You got anything else you guys want to mention or add? I mean, Brian, you got anything?
No. The only thing I'll say is, Josh, if you came from Michigan, do you recognize the Honolulu blue in the background?
Say,
Honolulu blue.
Can't quite see it.
Lions gear everywhere.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm from Michigan too, born in Detroit.
Okay.
Is that? Oh yeah, you're in Texas now, though. That's right.
Yeah, I kind of jumped all over the place, all the way from northern Canada to southern U.S.
Wow.
So, well, I forgot to ask. I don't know if you mentioned this or not. What were you doing before you got into this business?
I spent about almost 20 years in IT. I did business intelligence.
Right, you did mention IT before. I forgot.
Yep.
So you traveled around with that company?
It wasn't a company. It's software that I do. A lot of different companies use it. So I've worked for airlines, banks. I supported the CIA for a while.
Wow.
Jumped all over the place.
Okay. Very cool.
So, Brian, with your company, you focus mostly on the AR-15, or do you do anything for its bigger brother, the AR-10 platform?
We started with the AR-15. You know, it was when we started out, we were basically just putting parts together. We've gotten into the AR-10 a little bit. You know, I've got a lower design that we can make. We're starting into it. It's not as big a seller. You know, the big one, and of course, recently the AR-15 is just going crazy. But it is something we want to do. We actually, you know, my long-term plans is to keep doing unique things. My son is also very involved in it. He's turning 16 next month. And he just loves dreaming up ideas. We got some ideas for some 1911 style handguns. We also have a long-term plan that I'm hoping in the next year and a half. Basically, take a Tommy gun, an AR-15, and think of what they would make as a baby, and that's what we're going to design.
So you're saying is that gonna have like a what is the Tommy gun has like a drum mag too, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Part of it came about because my son loves the Tommy gun, and I did as well. And a few years back, we were up in New Hampshire, and we got up to a full auto range, and we got to shoot one. And we just looked at each other and we're like, we got to make something out of this because this is just way too much fun. So, you know, with all the 9mm ARs you're seeing out there, to me, it's kind of a logical step to let's see if we can make a 45, and then let's see if we can kind of incorporate some of the function and features of a Tommy gun and see where we end up. We've got a lot of the base design ideas worked out. Oh. The hardest part has been the bolt carrier group because, of course, with the Tommy drop stock, you don't have the buffer tube, so we've got some ideas we're still playing with and just starting up the CAD work on that, but I'd say hopefully within about a year and a half we'll have that one out to market.
So what software do you use for your CAD design?
We've jumped around a little bit. The one I'm using primarily right now is Fusion 360.
Okay.
What I really like about it is it's start to finish, CAD through CAM. There's no do it over here, move it over here. You know, like I said, I've got the IT background, and whenever I can make things simple in IT, I do. It's fairly powerful. The only thing I don't like about it is it is cloud-based, so you can get a little bit of a lag sometimes. Like I was downstairs, like I said, before the show working on it, and working on a fairly complicated design with a lot of different faces, and it was starting to lag a little bit. Other than that, I don't have anything to say bad about the Fusion 360. I've used Dolphin CAD. I've tried Google SketchUp. You know, if you want to mess around with something that's free, Google SketchUp's not bad. Okay. But Fusion 360 is definitely my favorite right now.
Now, because I'm trying to learn this stuff a little bit. I'm actually want to take a class on CAD just for my own personal knowledge at this point. Because I have a strong interest in machining and stuff and manufacturing, but I've kind of taken some classes on the machining end of it and a little bit on CNC and writing G-code and stuff like that. But I think if I was to get into it more, I want to be into more of the design and the programming end of things than the actual running the machine, you know, being a machine operator. So that's why I'm asking about the CAD programs and stuff, because I've heard about like SolidWorks and all that, but the cost for those things, they're priced for big companies and bigger firms that can actually afford that. So how does somebody really get into it that wants to practice with it, get something that's decent that you can transfer the knowledge over to something later on?
Well, and that's always been our challenge. I mean, from day one in my business, we're a small business. As I mentioned earlier, even just with parts, when we started out, I found out where Colt and Smith & Wesson got their stuff, and I approached them, and they came to me and said, "Well, do you want 10,000 or 100,000?" I'm like, "No, my name's not Rockefeller, it's LaBelle." So, it's finding those niche markets. Like I said, with the suppliers, and the CAD's kind of the same way. One thing I really like about the Fusion 360 It's very inexpensive, actually. If you're a student or make less than $10,000 a year, it's actually free.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and when to buy it, it is really really inexpensive. I mean, SolidWorks now you're looking $50,000 in licensing easily. This one, under $1,000 and you can get set up. The other thing that I have learned going through the programs, like I said, I've gone through a slew of them, tried their demos, the rest of it. Look for it, especially if you want to learn as you go, which is a lot of what I mean. I'm self-taught in pretty much everything I've done. And the Fusion 360, there's a lot of tutorials. Go to YouTube, type in Fusion 360. There's a whole user group. There got to be hundreds and hundreds of tutorials that'll walk you through how to do things. Even just tonight, I couldn't remember how to put an angular plane on a cylinder. Went over to YouTube, found my answer in about 5 minutes, had it fixed up, and I was back at work going on it. Where some of the others, like Dolphin Cat is a good example. Good software, not as much out there on the internet, tutorials and that wise. But my suggestion is, if you want to get into it, get something like Fusion 360. You can download it for free. You can run it for months and months and months on end without paying a dime, and then get on the tutorials. I mean that's.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say, how do you go from working with Fusion 360 to making a program for your CAD making a program for your CNC machine? How does that work? Because I never got to that point yet.
Well, basically, there's two levels to it. There's the CAD, and then there's what's called CAM. So after you've got the CAD, which is your wired drawing, I mean, it kind of depends if you're talking 2.5, or 3D. To make it easy, we'll start with 2D. For example, engraving or better building blocks, a perfect example of 2.5D. I design out where all the different pockets are and the rest of it. Then you go to what's called CAM. Now you got faces and contours designed in your model. Then you step over to the CAM, and that's where you say, okay, here, this face, I want to use this end mill. And you design it in the CAM module, and then it'll spit out the G code.
Okay.
Now, having said that, it sounds easy to let it do all its work, but there's a lot that goes into it. When you get into machine, just understanding the tools. I mean, I never realized how much went in, much math went in. I mean, I left math in high school, so all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, algebra. I kind of remember that. A lot of calculations, but again, there's resources out there. FS Wizard is a tool that I use a lot. Anybody using CNC, just do a search for FS Wizard. It will help you figure out your tools, your flutes, your speeds, your feeds, the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's like anything else. It put in the time, you'll figure it out.
That's cool. No, I appreciate that bit of information because I was talking today about that. I forgot the other name of the software we were discussing, but actually I might even have a note here someplace for me, and I can tell you actually if I pull it up. Let me see if I can find it.
While you pull that up, let me ask Joshua, what you said you were running a 16-inch barrel?
I am.
It says what, stainless light barrel or what?
It's a black nitrided stainless barrel from Rev Arms with their proprietary rifling. They run they've got a, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. Single edge land rifling. It's kind of unique to the market, but it's incredibly accurate, and it maintains velocities at, a 16-inch barrel is maintaining a velocity you would typically see out of a normal 18-inch barrel.
Oh, that's great, because everyone runs an 18-inch, and then sometimes you lose balance or whatever.
Well, I wouldn't say everybody's running an 18-inch. I've had that discussion recently because it comes down, I think, to preference. A lot of people, really. I think the 16-inch you can swing a little quicker. It's better in that respect.
Yep.
Maybe for long range, you might gain a little bit with the 18-inch barrel.
I started with barrel and I moved to a 16, and I can tell you the trend is kind of getting shorter and shorter because we're getting better and better performance out of some of these premium barrels.
True.
You guys still prefer the 18-inch barrels, but Rev just came out with a 14-inch barrel, and he's holding less than 1 MOA, shooting that thing out to 500 yards
Well,
all day long.
Armalite has that one that's like a 13-inch barrel with a really long muzzle brake on it or whatever that like Hunter Kill runs.
Yep.
You know, that's an example of like I think it's a 13.5-inch barrel. I thought, but I could be wrong, and so forth. So, by the way, so Brian, that software I was thinking of, the name of it's called GeoMagic. I had it up on my screen. Now I gotta pull it back up again. Yeah, GeoMagic Design, I guess is what it's called.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with it either, so I gotta research it. I just heard about it today because when I was at Manicore Arms, I was talking with them. I said, "Hey, what do you guys use for this and stuff?" Because you know, SolidWorks is friggin' expensive.
Yep.
They have a student version, of course, for that too, and I don't remember what the price was, but I want to say when I looked it up, I thought it was about $700, but I don't remember for sure. And I'm like, as a student, yeah, that's still friggin' expensive.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the Fusion 360 I like because you can get it for free, and it's actually made by Autodesk, so makers of AutoCAD. Well, they kind of know something about it.
Yeah, that's true. I remember AutoCAD because I remember like back in my high school days, we were doing a little bit of I forget, it was like we used a really, really basic CAD program, and I heard about AutoCAD, and I was like, yeah, I really want to get into this just for the. That's one of the things I had an interest even in high school about was the design factor of just being able to draw something on a computer and then actually make it in the real world. You know, that's just a neat thing to me. And I think now the technology's gotten so much better, where now we've got 3D printers and stuff, and it's great for rapid prototyping. And some companies are using them for actual production work, and I think that's going to get better and better as the machines get better too, and the quality of like the filament that they use for them gets better, or whatever it is. The advancements, I guess, is the way to put it, in 3D printing. As they come out and the pricing comes down, we're going to see more and more of it. I think, especially when you can design something on a 3D printer, and the 3D printer takes up like about the same desktop space as like some of our older inkjet printer, all-in-one machines and stuff did. It's a very small footprint. You can have it in your own home and do it yourself.
Once they get them running faster, that's the one. We've looked at 3D printers. My son has bugged me a few times to get one, and they're nice for smaller parts. Like where I can see is if we get into making our own hammers, disconnectors, things like that, I could see it. Anything larger than that, the run times, really, really can add up. I mean, if you're prototyping and it's a 14-hour run, that kills your day.
Well, you wouldn't want to make like a hammer out of a 3D printed.
No, but I mean, if you're designing something, you want to check fit.
Oh, yeah, everything. I got you, for prototyping purposes.
Exactly. That's where I see the 3D printing really could be handy. Nothing too large though, because I mean, like I said, I've looked at them. I just haven't found one that runs at a decent speed. I mean, for me, I can get some cheap aluminum, throw in a CNC, and cut that in, 10 minutes.
What are you using again for your mills and stuff?
For the end mills?
Mm-hmm.
Various ones. I've got a couple different sources. We use Granger, of course.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, I meant not the end mills, but your actual CNC machine.
The actual CNC machine's out of CNC Warehouse in Houston. Actually, them via Action CNC in Arlington was my local rep, and it's called a gantry style. Basically, big arm goes over the table, the CNC goes back and forth on it, and then you got the Z-axis up and down. The fourth axis sits on the side. It like I said, it's not a completely enclosed, which my wife hates when the fluid gets running and all over the place. But what's that?
You can put a shower curtain.
Actually, that's one of the first things I put up. But I protect the computer, not her bike, so she's not happy with me. But it like I said, it's a nice big machine. For the price point of about $12 grand, it really was a no-brainer to pull the trigger on that. Like I said, for prototypes right now, small runs, it's working great. The only downside of the gantry style is your overhead. For example, you're putting a receiver end to end, and you got a 9-inch clearance. You really start to run in a room fast. And I've got a monster Schar's vise, to keep my tolerances down. That cuts off 4 inch of my tolerances right there. So You know, it's like anything else. There's trade-offs. You know, I have a lot of space to work with. I can do really big pieces. I don't have a lot of Z height. So, you know, in a perfect world, eventually I'll have both the Haas and that, but that's a little ways down the road.
Yeah, the Haas is nice. They make nice stuff.
Oh, yeah. Last time I was at SHOT Show, I was drooling over the one they had there.
Yeah, well, so that's what we were using in my CNC class that I was taking at my local college. They had Haas mills, and of course the regular machine shop for mechanical machining. That was all like Bridgeport machines and stuff like that. And how I'm gonna mess up the name, Hardage, forget how to say it, but for their lathes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we also had a Haas. We also have a Haas CNC lathe as well. But that was really cool. It was a lot of fun. One of the things I'll share with you guys too about that class. What was neat was that they would make changes to things in the class as new ideas would come up, and I thought that was really kind of cool. Like what I mean by that is, for example, on the most of our machining we did in wax because it's a class in one. It's a little bit less. It puts less wear and tear on the tools when you're cutting wax versus aluminum or steel or something else, some other metal. Plus, if you make a mistake in your programming, you might have a chance to have some survival with that bit versus the bit crashing into steel or whatever, or aluminum. Excuse me.
That never happens.
No, it never happens. But they still can break bits apparently with wax, and I didn't find that out myself, but the teacher had a little sample up at the front of the class saying, hey, look, this is what can happen. It can still break bits if you don't program it right. Yep. So what I'm getting to is, so it was nice about that with the wax is that you can melt it down and you can reuse it, and you're not spending all this money on materials, and you're saving the tooling costs and saving the wear and tear on the machines. Well, with the lathe, the CNC lathe kind of spins pretty quick, you know, so they would just use aluminum round stock for part of our class where we were cutting basically a couple different I don't know if I wouldn't say contours, but you know, cutting chamfers and cutting like a couple different steps, I guess we put it, a couple different steps on the material. Anyway, so one of the students is like, well, why don't we use wax and stuff? And the teacher's like, well, you know, it's I don't know if it would hold up, and I don't know if we can get it, you know, in a mold or whatever. And the one student's like, well, how about we try it like this? And he's like, okay, well, so the instructor had we have 3D printers in the classroom for other classes. So he went ahead and he drew up a little prototype and made one mold. Then he made two molds. He made a couple different molds so he can actually mold cylindrical shapes to basically make the round stock out of wax now. So now it just cut the school's, you know, the costs down just by having, instead of using all this like aluminum stock for everybody that's in the class. Not that it's a whole lot of material anyway when you're really looking at like, you know, about, I don't know, 4 inches of 1.5 or 1 inch, you know, aluminum, wherever it was, and there's maybe 30 students in a class. But when you start multiplying that out, you spend a little bit of money, and if they can just mold it, maybe it's less. I don't know. But anyway, I kind of got off on a tangent there. We're at 10:04. I don't know if you guys got anything else you want to add into this, Thomas. I'll go with you first.
No, I'm good tonight, man.
Cool. Thanks for hanging out with us and everything, and hopefully you can get set up with arrange to get that class going on for the veterans and everything, so you can
absolutely. I'll let you know.
Yeah, keep me posted. Of course, we'll plug it on the show as well so people know about it. And Brian, thanks for being on with us again too. Do you have anything else you want to throw out before we wrap everything up?
The only thing I'll say is, you know, if you guys have any other questions or one more the cat or anything about the business, whatever, feel free to shoot me an email. Just Brian with a Y at averagegunguy.com.
Okay, cool, awesome. And Josh, nice job on the 3 Gun Nation Eastern Regional and the shotgun match there. So, you got anything else you want to throw out?
No, just appreciate you having me, and as usual, it's fun and good to hang out with some like-minded guys.
Awesome, thank you so much, guys. And for everyone else that are watching, until next time, go out and have some fun shooting. Oh, and by the way, have a happy, safe 4th of July as well.
Yeah. Firearms are not